Hello, this is Peaceful Anarchism on the Voluntary Virtues Network every Thursday at 1 p.m. And you can also find me on the Conscious Resistance YouTube channel and Conscious Resistance website. So today we have that guy T coming in from Atlanta. He's got a YouTube channel, that guy T, and hopefully he'll be making some content on the Tony Styles website if he decides it's a good idea. So T, tell us a little bit about how you became an anarcho-capitalist.
Well, it was kind of a quick journey. People usually say you turn to an anarchist, within 6 months of being libertarian. I've told you about four. So pretty much, I guess right when I was like between 18, like 18 and a half, my age, it was about 2 years ago. I was I was never really into politics growing up. I never really found that much interest in it. But then once I got into Twitter, I found more people into politics. So I would talk to people about different issues, healthcare, especially like very controversial issues like the Trayvon Martin thing that really pushed me into it. And I guess I was kind of more leaning toward Tea Party conservative type at first. Um, real hardcore constitutionalists, and then after time, I discovered people such as Julie Borowski, John Stossel, Adam Kokesh, and that led me more towards libertarianism. And from there, voted for Gary Johnson, which will be the last time I vote. But at least it was a libertarian for my first time. And
Much better than me.
and then from that, I just transitioned, kept reading, kept debating people, studying the philosophy, and eventually I just decided, that, all these ideas, I was already a libertarian, so I was like, why do we need government for these little bitty things? We already decided we don't need government for all of this other stuff. Why do we need government for this? So I began to look into it, and I figured out, there's really no purpose that government serves in those areas, especially the fact that even if they do serve purpose, it's done so, through theft, which is taxation. And I obviously didn't agree with that. And I was kind of shy at first to go towards full anarchist, because I was like, I'm gonna piss off all my conservative friends. But I was like, screw it.
What are you talking about? You make more friends. We're the most popular bunch of people. Actually, you piss off your old friends, you make new friends, right? More accurately put.
True, true.
So who influenced you the most? So you said Adam Kokesh and those people, and any books or podcasts that you like? Or
Um, no books that much. Yeah, I didn't really find out about it through any literature. But as far as podcasts go, prior to actually becoming anarchist, now I listen to plenty of podcasts. But like during my journey, I would have to say the first one that I came across was Voluntary Virtues, and I think they were discussing Bitcoin and um, some other event that was going on. I can't remember, but that, and also John Stossel. I started watching that weekly, and every week I used to he would cover a new topic about why do we need government in this, why the private sector is better than this at government, and it all made a lot of sense to me. And I looked into it more online, and I was like, and then I guess those would be my two main influencers would be John Stossel and probably Adam Kokesh.
so you're 20 years old. I just want to make that clear because this is pretty unusual. Like you don't meet many anarchists that are that young, unless I guess they're homeschooled or unschooled. But I don't think you are, right?
No.
Yeah. So you were able to expel all of this statist excrement much quicker than most people. It
Yeah.
seems like. Do you know any other, like, not online, but like in person, any other people that are like your type of thinking, anarchists, like that are that young?
Not really. I haven't really came across anyone. I've come across a few people who are kind of libertarian, light leaning. Like kind of like I want to end the drug war. I want to I don't think we should have entitlement programs, things such as that, gay marriage, your average light libertarian, but still we need government to build the roads. So, but other than that, no, I haven't really found anyone that's an anarchist my age. Would really, it's kind of hard to bring it up too, especially when talking to people my age. It rarely comes up in discussion. I rarely talk about politics with them, and when I do, I try to ease them into it, or I'm trying to figure out, should I just like kind of throw in little libertarian hints here and there, or should I just say stop being a fucking statist 100%? So I was like, yeah,
just give them an intellectual slap in the face.
yes.
So what about your family? How do they respond with all this
um
transformation?
at first they were really freaking out, like especially my mom. She was
No, what
scared.
are you doing?
Yes, they were scared. They were like, because especially when I started making videos, because prior to this YouTube channel I had another one which that was kind of like on my conservative base. I was criticizing the military and government, basically what I'm doing now, but less structured and kind of sloppily. But yeah, they were really freaked out. They were like, look, you got to stop making these videos because I don't want the SWAT team to come kick down my house. You can't be saying you don't like Obama online. You don't know who's listening. I'm like, well, the NSA's listening. We can guarantee that now, but
Hmm.
they haven't kicked in our doors yet. So I think I'm good.
So are your parents? Would you say libertarian type?
uh, I would say for the most part they're apolitical.
Oh, okay.
But I guess if it came down to it, when I've discussed things with them, they do lean towards more libertarian ideas when I explain it to them. But they did vote for Obama and twice, so I don't
Yeah.
think they really focus too much on politics. Um, they pretty much just average vote Dem because Dems are for the poor, and
Of course.
I'm not rich, so
Yep. Not too many of us can claim that. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. When you go down this path, you're immediately alienating some people, and we don't choose this path to make friends or gain
yeah,
popularity. We choose it because it's moral and humane, and it's the right thing to do, right? And I think that's what we should make choices in life. Like, what would do you? Should we really make choices to make more friends, or because it's the right thing to do? Like if you're in
yeah,
Nazi
true,
Germany during the Holocaust, if to speak out against the SS soldiers, that's unpopular, right? Right, but a lot of people did not do it because they're afraid, right? And if you're
yeah.
like you're claiming that we live in a free country, but then at the same time you're afraid to speak out because somebody might be listening, like doesn't that say something about how free we really are?
True. Just the idea of people just being stuck. Some people might call it a comfort zone, and I'll say I go farther than that. It's not even so much of a comfort zone. It's kind of like a form of mental slavery
Yeah.
because you're like really fearful of venturing outside that comfort zone, not only because you don't want to risk losing popularity, or you just don't know what it's going to be like going outside of it, but because you're scared of punishments that might come once you start questioning the status quo or general ideas, especially about the state.
Yeah, like the way Voltaire put it. He said, if you want to know who rules over you, find out who you cannot criticize.
True.
Right?
Good point.
And I think a lot of anarchists go through that phase of fear. Like when you're learning about all this stuff and you're shocked, and then you're like, do I really want to talk about it online, make videos about it, write about it because somebody might be reading and listening. Maybe they're gonna, you know, tell the authorities on me. Which is interesting if you think about it like that. It's like Big Daddy government is making sure we're all behaving, and if somebody's
Yeah.
misbehaving, they're gonna tell on you. They're gonna tell tell the authorities. And it's pretty silly. So in that sense, statism is like perpetual infancy, of people.
Yeah.
People are not mature. They don't grow up to be independent and critical thinkers. You know.
Yeah. And unfortunately, even when they do grow up to be critical thinkers, they become ancoms and start throwing Molotov cocktails in the Starbucks.
So have you gotten a lot of people criticizing you for like coming from the communist perspective?
Uh, yeah, a lot of socialists and you know, ancoms, communists and stuff like that that I've spoken to. They obviously disagree with my positions, and they're not that fond of my videos, but we oftentimes find some sort of common ground in terms of removing the state from a lot of industries and a lot of areas, except for I guess more so economic freedoms where we disagree, because obviously I'm an anarcho-capitalist, so I don't believe the government should have any part in the market. But they say, well, no, because we should have some government regulation, and even more so, especially in these areas, and we should have government subsidizing these things because we're entitled to school or food and things like that, which that's usually when we go off our separate ways, and then the status terms start getting thrown at each other. But for the most part, not really too much hostile negativity in terms of my videos, just general disagreement.
Did you ever get into the Zeitgeist trilogy or the Venus Project?
No, I'm not familiar.
Oh, okay, because that's kind of how I got into it, and it's basically yeah, check it out. They're interesting, but it's a great critique on society and politics and government, and it goes into good detail on the Federal Reserve and currency creation, the Mandrake mechanism, all that stuff, and then so that from that perspective is really good, right? But then when they start proposing their solutions, which is they call it the Venus Project, um, it's distinctly communist in flavor, and it's not like a central ruling class of people. Instead, it's a central ruling class of robots that dictates and distributes all the resources and goods to the people, whoever needs it. Right? The robots somehow know how much how much food we need, how much rice we need, how much the robots know everything, right?
So like they basically calculate our standards of living for us.
Basically, yeah, and that's they put their faith in. Anarcho-capitalists embrace technology as well, but not as a means of controlling our lives, like putting them in control, like that.
Yeah.
It sounds kind of kind of Terminator-ish, Skynet type thing, right?
Exactly. And I would love to ask these people, because I'm pretty sure all of them who are in this group, I can't say for sure, but I'm guessing, I'm assuming they eat fast food, and I'm pretty sure they wouldn't like it if they wanted a Big Mac and extra fries, and the robot said, no, you get 5-piece chicken nuggets and a water. That's all you need.
That's all you need. Yeah. Yeah, and then it reminds you of different people. I'm sure you met these people, the Luddites, which is basically people who think technology is the cause of our problems, right? Like those are the people who's always complaining. It's automation. The robots are stealing our jobs.
Yeah, yeah,
Those kind of people, right? Who basically want to scale back technology when they think it's inconvenient for them, but they have no problem with typing on their laptops or using their iPhones or Androids. That's fine because that makes our lives more convenient, right?
Yeah.
But when it
exactly
begins to replace their job at McDonald's, okay, then they have a problem. With
exactly. I always ask people that too, especially when they made an argument, where we have to maintain these particular industries, these jobs. We can't outsource it to technology. Even if we're way past its time, we still have to maintain the job because those people need the work. And I always ask them, okay, well, how much would you be willing to pay someone to pump your gas? Because we don't have those anymore. There's nobody standing there to come out and pump your gas for you. You just do it yourself, punch in the number. And they always say, I wouldn't pay anyone to pump my gas. And I'm like, yeah, I shouldn't have to. We shouldn't subsidize inefficient means of production, especially, that's where like the thing where made in America comes in, where, you say, well, I want to be in America. I want to have, jobs at home, even though it might cost, 25 more dollars to build this product than if I outsourced it to another area or to technology, just because I want to maintain these feel good jobs where it's like, okay, you'll feel good with the job, you'll be poor and, you're bankrupting the country, the economy, but, at least you'll feel good if that's what matters.
Yeah, like especially those people that complain about sweatshops and they say workers being exploited by the evil capitalists, who want to close down their plants in the United States and then open up a plant in Mexico or in Africa. And I don't know, have you done a video on sweatshops at all?
I haven't. I've had a lot of discussions about it. I haven't done a video. I think I might have mentioned it in the video once, like briefly,
Hmm.
like just the fact that people complain about the sweatshops, but even if you looked at the conditions people were in prior to the sweatshops, they were like dirt poor farmers and things like that, starving. So it's like, okay, granted, the sweatshop isn't, the same thing as concierge at the Marriott or,
Yeah.
or even fast food worker at McDonald's. But I mean, at least their standards of living are rising above what it was prior, because you can't just I mean, you can't, people act like you can just automatically boom an economy just like that. Like you can just go to Bangladesh and just put a GameStop and Walmart and freaking what's another expensive store, Banana Republic, and everyone will be fine. Everyone will just start working and like it doesn't work like that. But I
Just
don't think they
just shower them with money. Everything will be taken care of after that.
yes, exactly. All you have to do is give them the money and then Ben
Yeah,
Bernanke logic.
yeah. It's interesting. I was listening to a Tom Woods episode today. He was talking about the living wage, relating to the minimum wage, right? And
Hmm.
uh, and he gave an interesting thought experiment. He says, imagine if Martians came and they took away all of our machinery, all of our technology and assemblies and production and factories and we had to do everything by hand, right? Okay, now if employment was the goal, which everyone, including politicians, make it out to be. We unemployment is this. We need employment to get to this number, right? So
Hmm.
employment is a bit. So without machines, we're all working by hand, and we're all employed, but at the same time, we're all impoverished and on the brink of starvation, and will probably result in mass die-off because how how can you feed a population that's so dependent on machinery and all this technology to distribute all these products right throughout the world with your bare hands.
Yeah.
It would be complete utter destruction, right? And and I think you have to people have to realize that, yeah, you can't just it doesn't matter how many hours you work or how rich you are or how much money you steal from the rich, you know if you don't have the proper technology, the machinery, the ingenuity of entrepreneurs, we're we're not gonna succeed, we're not gonna boom, right?
Yeah.
So yes, that's I mean, do you have this conversation with people about the minimum wage?
Yeah, I've had a video on minimum wage, which well, yeah, that was my first real controversial video where people were like, "Whoa, I was agreeing with you on all the feminist stuff, but what is this? You want to get rid of the minimum wage? Freaking right wing radical!" And um, especially livable wage. Livable wage is something that I think more people don't really understand what they're asking for when they ask for a living wage. When people ask for a living wage, there's different interpretations of what a living wage is. Some people say, like Obama says, it's $10.10 an hour. Some people say $15 an hour. And I always ask, what do you determine a living wage to be? If you determine it to be enough to where people can afford food, shelter, and clothing, essentials, then obviously people are making a minimum wage, because I mean a livable wage at McDonald's, because most McDonald's employees aren't homeless. Most McDonald's employees aren't in the street starving. And I always say, well, what's the livable wage between a McDonald's employee and someone like Donald Trump? You know, if a McDonald's employee has to pay $200 a month for rent, and Donald Trump has to pay 12,000, who who do we satisfy? Do we give both of them a living wage? And is it just subjective on your living conditions? Because if that's the case, then I will definitely go sign a mortgage for a mansion right now if the government's going to give me a living wage to live there.
A mansion where everyone else is paying for it, though, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. The whole living wage thing is completely arbitrary nonsense. It's like how much food, how many beans is considered a living wage? How much meat per week? How much rice? How much vegetables? How many cigarettes do you give a person luxury? Do you give a person, how much? Like it's just completely arbitrary. Who decides these things? Nobody should decide these things. This is not something that's left up to government.
Yeah.
Government has no way of satisfying consumer demand whatsoever. Right? It's a monopoly on initiated aggression, and it has no accountability to the people whatsoever. you know, which is another interesting argument. Like when people talk about monopolies forming, like the recent net neutrality thing. You didn't do a video, right, on the net neutrality?
No, not net neutrality.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't cover
yeah. You
that.
should definitely cover that because that's right. That's like it's in the people are talking about it a lot, and because it's so ridiculous. Like people are talking about, we're gonna have the ISPs are gonna form together, cartels. They're gonna gain monopoly status, and we need the government to go in there, regulate them, control them. And
Hmm.
then you gotta ask, well, what is the government? Oh, the government's a monopoly. Oh, okay. So definitely, I suggest talk about net neutrality. That's
Yeah.
that's the next one.
Even though I'm not that familiar with it, I haven't really read too much up on it because I haven't had time. But whenever I have a discussion with somebody, they always bring up Netflix. They always say, "Well, Netflix is for net neutrality because these evil companies are scamming Netflix, charging them extra money, for them using extra bandwidth, which is completely immoral apparently, to charge for the amount of services that you use." And I don't know. I've never really heard a good argument for net neutrality, but
There is no good argument.
yeah, there's no good argument. But then again, I haven't studied enough to where I could formulate a good argument against it, other than the fact that government doesn't really have a business in the particular market, and just based off of prior knowledge of governments ruining things that is probably not going to fare well. And but I haven't read the bill. There was another one that we had to pass before we were able to read it. So
But by the way, no one has read the bill. It passed in the FCC, Federal Communications Commission. It passed with a vote of 3-2, and the people who voted for it were unelected, unaccountable bureaucrats, right? So they voted for it in secret. Nobody even read the bill before it was passed, and I think most of the people that even voted for it didn't even read the bill. The bill is like over 300 pages. Okay, and so yeah, I mean the whole idea of controlling the internet is like it's completely ridiculous. A lot of people who try to defend it are like saying, the internet is a right. I have a right to go on the internet. I'm like, what? like what? You
exactly.
you have a right to food? You have a right? No, I mean, if it costs like a company millions of dollars to give you a service like internet, why should you get it for free?
Exactly. And I see now. I always ask, if you are able to produce it by your own means, then by all means, it's your right to have it.
Yeah.
But it's not your right to charge me to pay for your Comcast bill, and it's not your right to charge me to pay for your food. Exactly. Same argument.
Yeah, I was talking to my mother-in-law. She's a Hungarian. She comes from communist Hungary. Well, communist Romania. She grew up. So she's like really entrenched in that way of living, and so
Hmm.
the way she looks at life is she's like, life is expensive. She's like, I did the calculations, and life is like really expensive. Living should be free. Everything should be free. I'm like, what are you talking about? You say, look at that electricity coming out of your light, right? Your light. That's That's not free. You know, getting the water to come out, that's not free. You know, getting the food in your refrigerator, that's not free. So why should it be free for you? Like
Exactly.
what do you want? Slaves also? Like you
That,
know?
that's pretty much what it is. Like even when you're guaranteeing something for free, you're basically promoting slavery. Even though there are people who will voluntarily do something because the government has the ability to steal our money to pay them. But you got to say, if I'm entitled to this thing, that means that even if government can't afford to pay the people that are servicing it, they have to have someone to service it because it is my right to have it. So it's like, for example, if it's my right to um, have a college education, you know, somebody's going to have to force those professors, if no one's paying them, to teach me because it's my right, or same thing as if I have a right to, people always say they have a right to certain things arbitrarily, such as food and resources, which I never really got because the argument could be made for anything. You could say, I have a right to Grand Theft Auto 5, which I had to sell recently, but I want to get it back, but
It's my right.
if I have a right to it, yeah, you know, it just diminishes the idea of, private property, which I think is necessary for society to function. Because if I can claim the right to someone else's property arbitrarily and they can do the same to me, then that is chaos. That is, the anarchy that people are afraid of.
Yeah. That's theft right there. You
Yeah.
know, and but people don't realize that you know, private property is really the foundation of a free society. You know, the ability for people, like, you know, we all innately understand how important privacy is. Like, you know, talking about the NSA, you know, some people have the argument, like, you know, if you're not doing anything wrong, you have nothing to hide,
Hmm.
right? You hear that? And so I ask these people, um, do you close the blinds on your window at night? You know, do you close your door when you're changing? Like, why are you covering your? Why are you not letting people look into your bedroom? You have nothing to hide, right?
Exactly.
You know, we all innately understand privacy. You know, nobody has to be taught, you know, that privacy is important. It doesn't matter if you have something to hide or not.
And even if some people are comfortable with giving up their privacy, I don't mind. I don't have a problem with it, but I don't think people see it as how it really is. They see it as, I'm okay. I don't have anything to hide. I'm okay with the NSA listening to my phone calls. So, I don't have a problem with the NSA when they don't realize that the NSA is listening to everybody's phone calls. So do you have a problem with the NSA listening to my phone calls without my permission? And, obviously they'll, say, yeah, well, because we got to stop terrorists and crap. But, it's the idea that I don't think people think about when they advocate for government, that the force aspect, that you're not only making a decision for yourself when you're promoting government, you're making a decision for everyone around you. And nobody wants everyone around them to make a decision for them, because I've never, well, not never, but very rarely have I seen someone advocate for total government control over everything in their lives. Like, just let the state vote on it. Whatever it is in my life, just let the state vote on it, and I'll go with it. Liberals, they don't like, don't let the government shouldn't be able to tell me if I should be able to marry someone of the same sex, or if I should be able to smoke weed. Conservatives are saying government shouldn't be able to tell me if I should be able to own guns, or if I should be able to drive a diesel pickup truck. And but they make these arguments that they want their freedoms to be respected, but they don't respect the freedoms of others, which in the end is hypocritical. I think when you point it out to them, they either accept it and try to say, okay, I see where you're getting at, or they get pissed and they just say, well, you just hate America. You can go to Somalia.
You're either a racist, a sexist, a bigot, hate America, you hate your neighbor,
Terrorists.
or a terrorist, extremist, or you hate humanity, or you don't want people to be educated.
It's always something.
It's like a simple concept, right? I don't want a ruling class, right? I don't think people's the fruits of people's labor should be stolen from them. is that so difficult of an idea to comprehend?
Yeah.
You know, and for some people it is, because you have this cognitive dissonance going on, because I believe it's called the logical fallacy of the appeal to antiquity, that, you know, since we've all grown up with government, that means it's good and right and it should continue, right?
Hmm.
Just because, you know, government has always been there means it should continue to be there,
Yeah.
right? Which is pretty ridiculous if you think about it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people from the left too, when they make the argument that if we get rid of government, then the rich are going to control us. Then we're going to, if we get rid of government, then we're just going to have a ruling class of corporations. And I always ask, corporations, first of all, they wouldn't exist in a stateless society, but even so, companies, they don't have the authority to aggress upon you. They don't have the legitimized force. So, you say who's like when people say, well, who's the government is, screwing over the people because it's ruled by the corporations. So we need to get rid of the corporations, when it's like, well, no, maybe we get rid of the people who have the authority to use a gun to force you to do things you don't want to do. Then maybe the corporation wouldn't really have power, because I mean, McDonald's can't force me to eat there um, instead of Burger King, unless they got government to pass a bill where government banned Burger King. Then that's okay. But if McDonald's just forces me, it's not okay, which it doesn't make sense. I don't see how they can come to that conclusion, logically, where you have one entity forcing its will upon others, and the other entity, which is not. So, but it's the entity that's not an entity that doesn't have, I guess, the legitimized authority to do so. That's the bad one. But the entity that has the authority to force its will upon you and be bought out and promote special interests, those are the ones that we have to maintain, which is government. We have to keep government active. We just have to fix it, but we have to get rid of all these evil companies and evil rich people.
Exactly. I think one of my favorite quotes is, sending in a good man to reform the state is like sending in a virgin to reform the whorehouse. When people say we got to work within the system, you got to vote. We can change it. It's just going to take time. You have to be patient.
And
Decades.
I always ask, how many people have work well within the system. I mean, of course, you can say like lobbyists. They work well. They get things struck down sometimes. Then they also get a lot of things passed. So, the system, you can work within the system, but you can't work against the system in the system.
Mhm.
So when you're working with government to try to shrink government, it's usually not going to work. Especially if like you're like a small guy, like just a regular individual. Like, say if you got caught with weed and you're like, people say, well, don't fight government. They have a right to arrest you for smoking weed because that's against the law. Just take your arrest, work within the system, and try to get out. On try to have your lawyer get you out. Where it's like, okay, and that never happens. You get sentenced to 25 years for a gram of marijuana, and it's like, well, I'm glad I took that advice. I'm glad I worked within the system. That worked out well for me.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm generally afraid for people who try to go inside and really like it doesn't make sense. The government, which is a monopoly on initiated aggression, the most violent institution on in the United States, and we could arguably say on planet Earth right now, right? The United States Empire is going to contain elements inside of it for its destruction, to self-destruct. Like, we're gonna use the government to get rid of the government? Are you serious? Wait, what? Like, you're gonna use the mafia to get rid of the mafia, right? You're gonna.
Yeah.
I saw this great meme. It's like instead of trying to end hell, go to hell and change it from the inside. It's like, what? You know what you sound like? Have you ever gotten like if you're trying to explain taxation as theft to somebody, have you ever gotten people who say, "Well, I enjoy paying my taxes. I'm not.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
they're not stealing from me. I'm giving it to them. What do you say to those people?
I always, I get the argument often, because people always say, well, the social contract, the invisible document that we all signed, upon being conceived at birth, just our existence means that we agreed to this contract, which is awesome.
Nice contract.
Yeah. And, they always say, well, if you don't like if you don't like paying taxes, then don't drive on roads, or they say, if you don't have to pay taxes, just don't do anything that has to pay taxes. Don't buy anything that has a tax. Don't work anywhere that charges taxes. Don't own property that charges taxes, which is anywhere. You can't even go to a public park now. You get shot if you're sleeping there.
Yeah.
But
Or feeding the homeless, right?
yeah, but the idea that people. This is the argument I've had, which was probably one of the best attempts. They say it's not force if you're voluntarily, they say, when you say like my taxes are being stolen from me, they're saying, well, it's not stolen from you, it's already taken from your paycheck. Well, then I say, well, it's stolen from my employer, and they say, well, your employer might be able to my employer might like paying taxes. I'm like, well, if that's the case, if you want to make that argument, then just make it the option if my employer can pay taxes or not. Like, for example, if my employer currently, if they said, you know, we don't have to pay taxes, but we're going to still do it because we want to contribute to these elements of society. We want to contribute to the schools in the area and stuff. So we're going to still take money, a little bit of money out your paycheck. That would be something that I would have to take into consideration and, negotiate it upon, what it is there. But to say that, to have the government force my employer to take my money so that they don't go to jail, and then simultaneously I don't go to jail, it's not saying that that's not the same logic as your employer likes paying taxes, because if the argument would only be valid if the employer had the option to pay taxes, if it was voluntary. So I always say, well, make taxes voluntary. Give everyone in the world the option to pay taxes, and if they don't like paying taxes, then they just won't contribute to certain aspects. And I'm pretty sure you would see a lot of people would say, I don't like, if you just had a list of taxes that you pay every year, the government would probably go bankrupt pretty fast, because I know I wouldn't pay for military. I wouldn't pay for, at least 80% of the freaking roads here because they suck. I definitely wouldn't pay for the state school system, indoctrination. So I think people have the idea that they have to contribute taxes because without taxes, you're basically taking away the opportunity for someone else to enjoy something. Like if you stop paying taxes for education, then there's going to be some kids who aren't going to be able to go to school, which isn't necessarily true, but it may happen. But you got to ask yourself, should I force my neighbor to pay for my other neighbor's kid to go to school? And I think we bring it more down to like a individual perspective, where it's not so much as the government taking money, but where do you feel comfortable stealing money from this guy to pay for this guy's stuff? A lot of people say no, which I think shows, the fact that a lot of people aren't really in favor of aggression upon others.
Mhm.
But when it's so massive, it's an aspect of government, they just say, well, it's big and it's out of my control, so why not?
Yeah, yeah. You're right. When they think of it in the grand scheme of things, they get all confused and muddled inside, and they're like, well, it's big, so it must be right.
Yeah,
It's like what kind of a choice is it? It's like if a guy is trying to rape a woman and he gives her a choice, you can either let me rape you or I'll kill you. You have a choice. I'm giving you a choice. You can't say I'm forcing you. You either pay taxes or you go to jail. I'm giving you a choice. You pay taxes, you go to jail, right? So I'm
yeah,
giving you. You're not being forced. That's that's and to those people who tell me, I love paying my taxes. I'm happy to, because if I don't pay taxes, we're gonna have stupid kids because we're not gonna have education. And I'm like, all right, so if you love paying taxes, that's fine, but I don't want to. So do you think that I should be, forcibly caged for not paying taxes? What if I don't want to? Is that then if I don't want to, then that is theft, right? If just one
Yeah.
person doesn't want to, then that's theft, right
Yeah,
there.
people, and even on the smaller scale, people agree. Like even the morally heartwarming stuff, we say we need to help families who aren't able to afford food. When if a guy went to a convenience store and robbed them in order to buy food for his family, people would probably legitimately feel sorry for him. Like, man, this guy's on his last leg. He has to get food for his family, so he's stealing. But at the end of the day, they're not going to just say, well, just let him go. Just let him keep stealing because so he can pay food. They're going to say, well, no, you still shouldn't be able to steal from people in order to feed your family. As horrible as that sounds, to have your family go hungry, it's still not your right to take from others.
Nope. Yeah.
Whereas if he just goes to the welfare office and get some EBT cards, and it's the logic just completely reverses somehow, because it's wrong for him to steal from others to feed his family, but it's okay for him to go to another service called government that steals from others so that he can feed his family.
Yeah. Exactly. The logic is exactly the same, and people don't realize that, unfortunately. Yeah, it's really amazing the cognitive dissonance that you come up with. I mean, it's political euphemism is what it is. We have to call things by their proper names, right? Taxation is theft. Quantitative easing is counterfeiting, right? War is mass murder.
Yeah.
NSA surveillance is spying, right? Government education is indoctrination. So once we begin to call things by their proper names, people can take off the blinders and begin to understand the world as it truly is, right? Not as our political masters would like us to believe, right?
Yeah.
So that's something that. Have you read the book 1984?
I haven't.
Yeah. Oh, well, right up your alley. I mean, I'm sure you don't have to, but it's basically all this. I'm sure you hear like people making references, right, to
Yeah,
Orwellian
I hear about
1984,
it
all that stuff.
often.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what really got me into this when I was younger, 1984, and then Aldous Huxley, Brave New World, Animal Farm, all pretty awesome stuff to get you thinking about the power structure, and government, and people. Some people make the argument, it's kind of ridiculous, we are government, and government is us. Right? You hear that sometimes, like
I'd have.
I am the government. You are the government. Why are you complaining? I'm like, all right. So if we are the government, then did the Jews that died in the Holocaust, they committed suicide, right? Because because
Yeah,
because they
true.
because they are the government, right? If when the government you know decides to bail out banks at trillions of dollars, so you did that, right? Not not the politicians. I mean, how do you respond to that? We are the
It
government.
I don't know. It's just people say that it's not hard to respond, but it's like you just have to bear with them, because it's like, man, that's that's really sad that some people have that mentality. That where we're not individuals, we are all part of a collective system where everybody apparently fits into this one um, societal bubble where you know one man's labor is another man's labor, one man's crime is another man's crime. Even though they don't go that far when they say government, we are the government, because like you said, did I invade Iraq? No, that was Bush. I didn't want to pay for that. So when people say we are government, or we are a part of government, I say not really. I mean, I may be a part of government involuntarily, the same way that you know the Jews were part of the Nazi SS, or the same way that slaves were part of plantations. They're all one thing, but one side doesn't really have a choice in being a part of that thing. So is it really fair to say that you know we are government, so that makes government okay, when I don't have a choice not to be a part of government?
Yeah. And actually, you brought up the president and war, and another thing I like to lay on people, the shocker is I ask people, so do you think the president is a mass murderer? And I like to shock up people. What are you talking about? Of course not. He's a good guy. He's got a family. He's got kids. He wears nice suits. You know, how can he be a mass murderer, right?
Yeah.
So then the idea is that when a soldier goes overseas and murders innocent men, women, and children, right? Um, who is to blame? You know, the soldier or his commanding officer or the sergeant or the colonel or the general or the president. You know, who's to blame for that? Is anyone to blame or
Yeah.
is everyone to blame? You know, and you know that's the it's the what do you call it, the chain of command, but I rather call it the chain of obedience, right? Because
Hmm.
that's basically what it is. And I think the blame is on everybody, not just on the soldier who actually does it, but and everyone all down the line who is just basically an order follower, right?
Yeah.
And
True.
so I mean, have you ever? I like to point that out to people because you know we have this idea that these you know these presidents are like near deity, superhuman type people that we place up on a pedestal, right? And you know when they come through the streets in a, you know, a major city, you know we got to block off the next four streets. You know we gotta have a yeah, they have to have a you know police cars front and back. They have to have all this. You know, it's like we're against guns, gun control, but you know I need 20 armed guards around me at all times with guns protecting me, me and my family.
Yeah. And I think especially when you're criticizing like military and war, it really you know it's fun to talk about it with leftists, but the real fun comes in with conservatives because you can call Obama a mass murderer and say, you know, how many kids has Obama killed with drone strikes? The neocons will say, well, yeah, he's freaking crazy and he wants to go to war with Syria. He's insane. But when you go back to Bush and or even Reagan, and you go back and say, well, what about these actions that the government took against foreign nations, through military strategies? And you say, well, no, that was to protect our nation. We had to do it. It was for patriotism because they loved America. It goes back to the cult mentality where you have to defend your team, even though both teams are doing the same thing essentially.
Yeah. It's so ridiculous how you know during war people think it's like a football game. You know, there's like a good guy and there's a bad guy, like right, or like a video game, there's a good guy and a bad guy. No, they're both mass murdering sociopathic megalomaniacs. You know
Yeah,
that are you know indoctrinating their tax cattle to obey them, obey their insanity basically. You know, and carry out all this destruction and violence, right? And but people, you know, have Hitler. He's evil. You know, we got to go there and we got to rid the world of not of you know of socialism, national socialism. We got to rid the world of that stuff. But you know, then you talk about you don't really learn about Joseph Stalin and Mao Zedong and how many more millions of people died under their regime than ever died under the Nazis. But you don't hear about that much. It's like it's a clever glossing over of that little inconspicuous fact.
yeah.
So I don't want to keep you too long. So let the listeners know how they can reach you. Your work.
Yeah, YouTube, that guy T, Facebook, yeah, that libertarian T, and Twitter, which I'm most active on, which is at underscore that guy T. And I'm going to try to upload at least once a week. I've been crazy with my schedule lately, but I'm going to try to have a consistent stream of uploading, and also Tony Styles. I should be able to start writing there pretty soon, and you should be able to see some of my work there. And if you just want a little bit more, you can always hit me up on Twitter because I'm there pretty much 24/7.
Hmm. So you're not a Luddite, right? You don't hate technology.
No, 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 no.
Technology's not going to be the end of us, right?
Nah, not yet.
Excellent, excellent. Not Terminator 3 Salvation, not yet. Not yet. Awesome, T. Good talking with you. Thanks for the conversation. So this is Peaceful Anarchism on the Voluntary Virtues Network and the Conscious Resistance YouTube channel. Wishing everyone have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye.